It's my time to shine, boys. Here we go. Thought we'd make a good little video out of this, eh? Killer balancing survey. Suddenly had a burst of courage, have we, at BHVR? We're going to take a look at this, see what questions they ask. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the interesting point here. We will see if this is a potential, mayhaps, turning point, you know, towards sensibility within the game's development. So, yeah, we will have a look at what they're going to be asking us in this particular balancing survey that pertains to killers. Ladies and gentlemen, those disgusting creatures. See you there. So here she is, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to go through it. We're just going to make a video of it because, you know, people like the ramblings of myself and the unfiltered honesty of somebody who's been here for a decade and is sick to the back teeth of the way this game is being fucking developed these days, to the point where it's basically just turning into an and-old simulator for survivors. Anyway, other streamers don't say that at the top of the content creation circle, unfortunately, so we're being consistently having the wool pulled over our eyes. Killer Balance Survey, here we go, introduction. Thank you for taking the time to give your feedback on Dead by Daylight. The purpose of this survey is to measure your opinions on the current state of killer balance in Dead by Daylight. Why do I think, just pausing at the first sentence here, this is going to pertain of the perspective of the survivor. Which killers do you think are overpowered so that we can obliterate them with nerfs, you know, that kind of thing? Why do I have a feeling it's going to be that and not how killers are played, and why only Blight, Nurse, School, Dracula, and probably Vecna at the moment are being fucking played on a roster of 41 fucking killers? I doubt we're going to actually go into the actual issues with this game, are we? But we'll plead ignorance until the time arises. It should take approximately 10 minutes to complete. I've got a lot to say, so it's probably not going to be 10 minutes, boys, but, you know, we'll see. Once you respond to the survey, we're making Y in your answers with some of your in-game data, such as your in-game purchase history, Y. The answers provided through this survey will not be shared. So basically, does that mean every answer I make in this survey doesn't actually mean anything, but if I bought enough Feng cosmetics, we're going to nerf killers, basically? Is that what you're trying to say there? The answers provided through this survey will not be shared with any third party and will only be used for purposes set forth in BHVR's Interactive's privacy policy, which I believe in the privacy policy you actually stated as of recently that you gain access to my phone number, email, purchase history and all that kind of stuff, so I think it does actually pertain to that probably. Thank you for helping us continue to improve the game. Well, you know, it's my pleasure if you actually listen to it. The Dead by Daylight development team, please refrain from disclosing personal information and open-ended questions. I am not fucking stupid. I am aware behaviour. Okay. To what extent do you agree and disagree with the following? Here we go. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Obviously, I'm going to stop to provide my own thoughts, my own perspective. There's a couple of people who are here from the IDV crowd, and you know, you probably only watched a couple of my DVD videos, and you've heard that I am a distinctly different person playing this game than I am when I'm playing IDV, and there are reasons for that which may make them into this video if we get onto the topics. I like playing Dead by Daylight. Agree. Might come as a shock to a couple of people. Obviously, we're going to just explain this. I'm going to go and drop the truth nuke straight away at the beginning of this. I've done this before on camera. I'm just going to put it into this video as well. I actually do like playing this game. I know I shit on it all the time. I sound like I don't enjoy playing it in all my videos, most of my videos anyway. Part of the reason I like playing Dead by Daylight is because it is the only game in the fucking ASIM genre that can ever survive, because no matter what new ASIM comes out, the devs just make it their mission, the devs of the other games, the other ASIMs, to find the most either obscure, most obvious, or just general way to fuck the launch of their game up to the point where it never survives its launch year, basically. In this particular genre, it's like they actively seek out how they can fuck up the game. So it is the only game at the moment in the ASIM genre, which is obviously why I'm playing it, because it's my favourite genre. I am an ex-Evolve player, that's where the relevance is there. If Evolve was back on the market, if Evolve was still here, this game would get dropped in an heartbeat. That's just the brutal honesty. But as it stands, we don't live in that timeline, unfortunately for me. So this is all I've got. That said, at the same time, I don't hate playing this game. I hate the direction it's taken in the modern age, because as somebody who has been here since the game's fucking launch, basically, it has devolved, slight pun intended, but not at the same time, it's just general word usage. It has turned into equal parts fucking Fortnite with its cosmetics. Everything's fucking bright, every map's bright as fuck now. There's no real horror vibe of it left. If you want to look at what the original game used to look like back in the day, search Old Coldwind Farm, and you will see the fact that the older maps were just miles better in terms of aesthetic. And the general hand-holding and coddling of shit Survivor players has become a genuine concern, and that's not just because I play mostly killer. I see this whenever I boot into Survivor. I will not play a single solo queue Survivor game where I don't have a fucking teammate DC when they go down or don't land their fucking DS or dead hard at the right time, which is now becoming a serious fucking issue, which is breeding entitlement for both sides of this game. And obviously solo queue Survivor at the moment is in a fucking shit state, but they are not addressing it in the way they should be doing. They are just constantly slapping nerfs onto killers. Again, this is not us versus them. For the 50 millionth fucking time, I always mention this, that nerfing killers constantly will not solve this game's issues. No matter how much the fucking biased Survivor mains cry for it all the time, they are destroying their own experience. Because the more you nerf killers, the more you will only see Blight, Ghoul, and fucking Dracula in all of your games. That's it. That is the fucking truth of the state of this game is in. It's got nothing to fucking do with what the big fucking streamers are saying when they go on about, oh, like, we've just had Vecna release now. And now he's S tier. He's S tier. He's a problem. He's overpowered. I can't dodge his fucking really easy to dodge undergate attack, you know, wishy-washy fucking bullshit that now is flooding the front page of DBD YouTube to the point where BHVR will just look at it and think, right, okay, he's overpowered. This is what the fucking big streamers are saying. Nerf it into the ground. Bang. 2 weeks after release, Vecna is never fucking seen again. Back to Blight and Nurse you go. Yeah. That's basically what it is. That is literally how this game is at the moment. And it needs to fucking change, because it is genuinely holding the game back. But, that aside, the game itself, I enjoy playing it. Because, you know, those in the darkness, those who are in the shadows, because I know there's there's got to be one or two fucking hate watchers of me on this channel. I actually perform quite well in a lot of killers, so I'm actually a bit better than what they want to sell me as, or want to think I am, because in a lot of instances from what I've seen when I've watched streamers, and not big streamers, just literally people playing the game, there are a lot of people who are not playing Blight, Ghoul, Dracula, all the you know, the strong killers, who are fucking getting 4-man outed consistently live on stream, right? So it is what it is at the end of the day. I try to make as many killers as I can work in my videos, even though a lot of the videos are just rants, because it is fucking needlessly stressful to play killer in the game's current state if you're not playing one of the high traversal or high easy to down, quick to down kind of killers, which is what everybody will just default to, because that's the gameplay for them on killer that isn't fucking stressful. It's why everybody plays Blight, because Blight's fucking easy. You know, you pinball off things and you eventually hit people, you know. There's a degree of skill that does go into it at certain loops, but it's also a very easy to land power if you're against survivors that are fucking below 12,000 hours, you know, who aren't perfectly looping, all that kind of stuff, and don't know how to react to it. So it gives you a free pass in lobbies where, you know, the survivors aren't 100% on the game, that kind of thing. That's why a lot of people just play Blight. But yeah, in terms of the game itself, I like playing it because I still cling to playing a diverse array of the killers. I try and put distance between duplicates, you know, when I'm playing, because it keeps me interested and it keeps me, interested in playing it, basically. But yeah, that's the first point. I'm not going to do that for everything. We just need to get the intro rant out of the way for that, because, you know, it is what it is. Dead by Daylight is entertaining. Yeah, same. It's literally the same question as far as I'm concerned. That we're just going to put agree, because it's, you know, these two go hand in hand. I have a good time playing Dead by Daylight neutral, for the reasons, again, we kind of blanket termed this. the current game state where you've got all this kind of stupid shit that's now in the game where you can only kick generators 8 fucking times and then you just get locked out of playing the game because survivors have to win it, I guess. That kind of shit that's been added to the game recently, all these second chance stun related perks that fucking ruin the game flow on top of gen speeds, still, just for the boys at the back of the room in behaviour, still being an issue. Despite when we nerf gen defense perks over and over again to the point where half of them are fucking useless now. And I've just literally, as somebody who used to run gen defense all the time, I have now pivoted just to using fucking chase perks to try and race them, basically, by just downing them quickly. Game of Foot, Brutal Strength, Bamboozle, maybe Gift of Pain. Gift of Pain's probably the only gen defense perk I now run, because I do consider it to be better than Pain Res, because Pain Res is just dog shit, as far as I'm concerned. Pain Res, for me, seems to be the type of perk, from what I've seen, where people just automatically associate it with gen defense or strong gen defense, when a lot of the times that I've used it, it literally doesn't fucking do anything, quite honestly. And the reason it doesn't do anything is because you'll put somebody on the Orc, the Pain Res Orc, it'll go off, you'll hear them scream, but they'll immediately get back on that gen, the regression will get reset, and then they'll already make about, if you're not playing a traversal based killer, they'll already make about 10-15% of that back by the time you get back over to them, you know, so it doesn't really do anything. Whereas if you run Gift of Pain, they get a permanent 16% repair speed debuff until they're fucking injured again, until you encounter them again, until they encounter you and you injure them, you know. So it lasts a lot longer and does more damage rather than just an immediate 20% that basically gets fucking patched over before you even get over there. And you can only use Pain Res 4 times. Gift of Pain, you can use it as many times as you want, as long as you keep hooking them on the Scourge hooks, and they get 16% repair speed debuffs for healing. And if they choose not to heal, well, everybody's now exposed, technically, you know, the one-hit downs. So Gift of Pain's the only one I've been using in comparison to Pain Res, because I just think Pain Res is trash. But there you go, it is what it is. Yeah, but the rest of it, gen speeds, second chances, being kicked in the fucking face whenever they vault in front of you, jumping out of lockers, you know, this fucking woman jumping out of a locker in front of a xenomorph, and the xenomorph literally flinches for like 3 seconds, is the most unimmersive bollocks I've ever fucking seen in a PvP horror game. All that kind of shit that's in the game, could do without it, but yeah. What role do you typically play in Dead by Daylight? Killer mostly, because I do play some Survivor. The reason I don't play as much Survivor is because I generally just find it quite boring to play. And also, the solo queue state of teammates at the moment is ridiculous, for the reasons I briefly touched on at the beginning. My teammates either die instantly in chase or just fucking DC on first down, and there's not really much difference in any of the games, so I don't even bother fucking playing it, to be honest, these days. That's the real reason I don't play Survivor. It's not because I'm some fucking biased killer main, you know, all the fucking Twitter assholes like to preach and all that kind of stuff. It's about actual game enjoyment, mate. I just don't like Survivor. It's not fun to play. How do you typically approach a live match in Dead by Daylight? Not a custom name. I am casual competitive. I've spoke about this in the past. I am basically casual competitive. I play to win, but my enjoyment comes first. Now, obviously, these things do come in hand in hand, which is why I do rant quite a bit, because obviously, you know, if you're winning, you're enjoying yourself, but if you're not winning, you're not enjoying yourself, which kind of has that loop. For me, and I've done a couple of videos of this now, where I've shown that not necessarily 4King leads to me deciding on whether I enjoy a game or not. I can actually have, I'll say three people escape, and I can still enjoy the game. But in that instance, that's if I've got 12 hooks on them, right? Because my enjoyment in this game comes from chases. Chases, gameplay, using your killer power, being a presence as the killer, you know, back and forth. Allow me to hook a survivor, and then go for somebody else and still not have to think that I am going to lose the game if I don't go back to that person who's just been unhooked immediately, right? If I get pressure from everywhere, this is also sort of why I run Gift of Pain as well, because if you get everybody on Gift of Pain, you actually get everybody slowed down to the point where you can go for unique chases over and over again. I don't have to fucking put somebody on an hook, wait for them to get unhooked, and then just fucking go, right, okay, I've got to go back over there, let's go and get this survivor again, back to back to back, one by one, shopping list fucking gameplay, got to kill this survivor, got to get them on a hook, get them out, you know, this kind of shit. And obviously this relates to time-based ASIMs, which is another reason why I always say, boys, that Evolve did the ASIM far better, because Evolve was not time-based. Evolve was HP-based. You had one unified goal on both sides. You were there to kill each other, right? And obviously the monster, the one player, the killer in this, to liken it to this, had a significantly larger HP pool that the other four had to whittle down and fight around whilst dodging the monster's abilities, its attacks, all that kind of stuff. Monster at the same time had to dodge all the Hunter's abilities and had to basically perform a team wipe in that game. Hunter's got infinite respawns if the monster didn't actually in-cap all four survivors or kill all four survivors, Hunters, in together at the same time. So there was a degree of, you know, the gameplay there was that you had to team wipe, and obviously the Hunters had to play around dodging your attacks and maintaining damage on you to kill you as the monster. There was no time aspect to it. It was just a case of however long it took for one team to kill the other. You know, it was skill based, because obviously if one team's landing more of its attacks, if one team's missing more of its attacks, the whichever side's doing the more damage is going to win, you know, because they were more accurate, they were performing better than the other side, and that's how those games played out. Here, you take a chase, you're chasing somebody else, and there's three other people pushing an objective that is significantly fucking smaller than the killer's objective at the same time, right? Because you can only occupy one survivor whilst you're chasing. So whilst you're chasing that survivor, potentially over 50% of the team who you're chasing, their objective, over 50% of that is being pushed at that time. And there is nothing you can do about it. There is fuck all you can do about all that progress being lost until you down that survivor, you get them on whatever hook it is, and then you can patrol elsewhere. If you consistently keep abandoning chases to patrol gens, you will lose in this game, which is something else I've seen people say, that you should give up on chases if they last longer than something like 20-30 seconds. No. That's literally incorrect, because then what you're doing is you're ditching a chase against a potentially injured survivor that's been going on for a certain amount of time to go and look for somebody else. You're not always going to go to the immediate gen that's being worked on, so that's also time lost. That survivor you've just abandoned chases is more than likely going to either run to a teammate and get healed and reverse literally fucking everything you have just done, or they're going to heal themselves. All the whilst you're then looking for the other survivors, they're all pushing the objective. That survivor's going to finish healing, and then that survivor is going to jump on a generator as well. So that's going to be another generator on the other side of the map that's being pushed, whilst the other three have been pushing their generators, and they're all probably about 60 to 70% plus at this point. And basically you lose the game. If you abandon your first chase, you fucking lose. It is what it is. Been here since 2016, boys. I've seen it happen numerous fucking times. Just because my big streamer isn't saying it or wants to say that that's not the case doesn't mean it's always fucking true, you know? You don't have to fucking take my word for it, just do it in game and you'll see. How would you prefer to approach a live match? The same, really, for the reasons I've just mentioned. Just going for unique chases, using my ability. Casual, competitive, play to win, but play for chases, all that kind of stuff, same thing. General killer balance. How much do you feel you know the topic of killer balance? An excellent amount. Yeah, an excellent amount. No, I'm not gonna discount myself. An excellent amount of information, because I've been here for a fucking decade, boys. I've been playing killer through all of its iterations. I played killer right at the very beginning when literal fucking infinites were around. I was around playing killer when the shack had 2 fucking god windows. Not a lot of people will actually remember that. There used to be the window that's there now, and where the pallet is, or it's either the pallet or the door that doesn't have the pallet on it, used to be a window as well. I think it might have been the one that didn't have the pallet on it. because I'm sure it had the pallet, if I'm remembering correctly. I think it did. I think it had the pallet on the doorway and 2 god windows. So you could put a god pallet down and then jump through a god window, but you'd still have the 2 god windows as well after you break that pallet. I think it was that, or it might have not been a pallet. Either way, there was 2 god pallets. There was 2 god windows on it. Remember that. And there was also the infinite cowl loop as well. Cowl loop used to be an X, shaped like an X, rather than what it is now, where it's like a very strong window and a very strong pallet parallel to each other. It used to literally just be an X with 2 god windows on it, because there was a wooden fence around, similar to the shape that it is now with the cobblestone wall, where it sort of hooks and hugs around the window. That was significantly longer on the side, and it was a god window on either side, so you could just infinitely run around it as a survivor. There was no way to actually catch up as any of the killers, because it was literally the way the wall was situated. The killer had to go all the way around that wall, and then by that time they're already through the other side. And during that time in the game as well, killer vault speed was fucking ridiculously long. It was like literally, I think it was about 5 seconds to vault a window, literally. It was really slow, so you were never getting anybody at cowl loop either. But yeah, that's where I came from right at the very beginning. In terms of how much I know about killer balance, considering I play this game daily for several hours a day when I'm recording, when I'm not in work, I'd say yes, I do know a lot of things about killer in this game. But yeah, I feel that Dead by Daylight's development team is balancing killer efficiently. Strong disagree. It's gone now. During updates, disagree. No. Yeah. So balancing killer efficiently, fellas, is not what I would think of when behaviour approaches killer changes in this game, because a lot of the time it's just literally fucking nerfs. All the fucking time. There is very rarely any instances of them actually buffing killers to give them strong chase or strong things in chase, because the minute they do, the people they listen to on Twitter, which they need to fucking stop listening to, start fucking whining constantly and crying about how they can't hold W for any degree of intelligence in a chase. And then it leads to situations like, who was it recently? There was one recently. There was the School Merchant situation. School Merchant was a bit of a coin flip in terms of what happened with her. I think the video of that supposed comp team that just basically 3-gen'd themselves and was a fucking skill issue, and then got camped because the person who was playing as School Merchant was literally just using the strength of her power to control and lock down them generators, whilst there was, I think there was 4 of them alive at that point, which was very easy to do if you just pair up and slowly fight the war of attrition, because survivors always win the war of attrition in this game. That was deemed problematic because, again, this comp team that 3-gen'd themselves couldn't get out of it, so it was a killer issue. Yeah, then she was gutted to the point she's in now, where she's borderline unplayable, and she keeps being put on the back burner. There keeps being new changes painted for her. There keeps being all this kind of backing and forth in between what's going on with her, all that kind of stuff. There's supposedly a trickster rework still going on. Again, efficient implies quick, fast, and good, you know. The trickster rework has been spoken of for about a year now, I think it's about a year, and we're still waiting for that. So yeah, I wouldn't say it's really efficient. At release, there is a trend, and we're going to see it with Vecna soon as well. Keep your eyes on Vecna, boys, when I say this, yeah? Because this is what I'm talking about when you'll see it in a couple of weeks' time. They'll release killers in states that they should actually be in. They should actually be strong, and they should actually be a threat in chase. Vecna is very easy to avoid if you've got a bit of intellect. You can literally hold W against his undergate ability, and if you're not in a cramped area, if you don't hesitate, you just continue holding W. Just if he places it slightly in front of you, just turn around, hold your S key, and just hold it straight. You will never get hit by his undergate, but apparently it's unavoidable at the moment, so that's probably going to get nerfed. So they release killers in states where they're playable, they can compete, they are fun to play, they're strong in chase, it's easy to pick up, they do have expression in the skill and all that kind of stuff. And then 2 weeks after the release of them, they'll nerf them into fucking oblivion, into the Krasu situation. Krasu is now pretty much unplayable because all you have to do against a Krasu, and this was similar to what you had to do, it's just slightly stronger at release, is run to a fucking pallet. That was it. Basically, that's literally it. Run to a fucking pallet, and she's basically the same as any other killer. That was at release. Now, run to a pallet, and she just has to break it. She can't do it. Can't do anything anymore. If you can do the basic 50-50 mind game, where you're jumping over the pallet, you know, back and forth, and then just predict with an M1. She can do that. But other than that, she's pretty much fucking useless now, because they nerfed her vault over the pallets, which was one of the principal usages of a power, because now she either has to vault over the power and get locked in a very shit and stupid fucking arbitrary animation that nails her to the ground to basically fully reset a chase with the survivor. It's like Shack Pallet. She can't vault over that now, because by the time she does vault over it, the survivor will be either 2/3 of the way over the opposite side of the shack, or they'll be able to vault the window when she's locked in the very long animation, which is a full chase reset. So she can't do anything about any kind of strong pallet. She has to come out of a power, which also nails her to the ground and is really slow in terms of game time, to then kick the pallet as well, which is a full chase reset there. She's just fucking useless. But yeah, she was released at a very nice, strong state. But because they don't adapt, survivors don't put any sort of meaningful fucking thought into playing the game. That's what it was. They just nerfed her, took the money and run, and that's going to be the same thing as what they do with Vecna. So that's the whole release situation. During updates, I've just mentioned Trickster, Skull Merchant, that kind of thing. Very slow. I wouldn't say it's efficient. It takes them fucking ages to do anything, and when they do it, it's very hit or miss as to whether it's actually a good thing. In general, which role has the advantage in Dead by Daylight? It depends. This is a very... It's survivors and some killers. Obviously, if you're playing Blight, Ghoul, Dracula, them sorts, then you probably will have the advantage over a lot of teams, provided they're not, you know, 4-manning and all that kind of stuff. If it's in a Swift, survivors, no discussion, no contest, no argument. The game is very survivor-sided, based on the changes that have come to the game now, and that is also why you're seeing the symptoms of it with only Blight, Ghouls, Dracula, the stronger killers being played, because you don't know as a killer what kind of lobby you're going into. If it's a 4-man, you're fucked if you're playing anything that isn't one of the strong killers, because it's literally impossible to fucking beat, as long as they don't make mistakes that is completely in their court. So it is what it is. I'm going to put it as survivors and some killers have the advantage, because obviously if you're playing Ghoul, Dracula, just the strong ones, then over most solo teams and over most 2 or 3-man teams, you'll probably have the advantage. But other than that, nah, survivors have the advantage in this game now. Gen speeds are ridiculous, loads of second chance perks, base kit second chances, extended hook timers. I can't kick generators fucking more than 8 times, because then it just fucking, the game just gets frozen for me. Yeah, there's way too much hand-holding now in terms of survivors in this game, mate. But yeah, it is what it is. We'll say that just because of the stronger ones. How much advantage does Survivor playing with friends have over the killer? A huge advantage. This is actually game-breaking. Nobody's going to fucking say this. Obviously, you know, there's not other big streamers probably won't do this survey video, but a lot of the big streamers don't say this. It is a And I will just say this, it is literally a game-breaking fucking advantage that Survival Friends gives survivors. They've got communication, they've basically got warlocks, because they'll have somebody who will follow you around in most competitive Swifts, will follow you around and just hide behind things and feed information to the person that's being chased and tell them where you are at all points of the game. There's also perks that aid this, such as stuff like Still Sight, which is where you'll stand still for a certain amount of time and then you can see the aura of the killer within a certain range. Ridiculous that this is even printed with stuff like this. And obviously, you know, you've got verbal communication that just helps massively. With this on top of base kit second chances, all the perks that are in there, you know, all that kind of stuff. Everything that they've implemented into the game to supposedly help solo queue gets used in Swift, and that's on top of communication and basically map-wide warlocks on the killer and knowledge of everything that's going on. So yeah, game breaking. Swift is basically the main balancing issue with this game is Swift, essentially. It is what it is. Like, you know, everybody won't say this. They won't touch the topic because it's controversial. You know, and nobody will fucking go on about it. No, one of the main fucking balance issues with this game, dude, is Swift. It is fucking Swift. Yeah, it is literally Swift. That is the reason this game's on its ass in terms of balance. Because what they're trying to do is they're trying to bring solo queue survivors up to Swift power level. Right, but what they're doing whilst they're doing that is they're not considering any of the killers at all. Fucking none of them. And again, this also leads into why only Blight, Dracula, Ghoul, all them sorts of killers that you're seeing constantly in your Survivor games back to back, they are the only ones that are being played because of this reason. Because they are just continuously buffing survivors for the sake of solo queue, but not considering what it means for killers and what it means for Swift at the same time. Swift, even at its fucking inception, was already fucking broken because of the type of game it is. You know, it's still advertised on the fucking Steam store as a fucking stealth horror game. You know, so what happens in a stealth horror game when you start giving people comms, you start giving people spotters? You know, people that follow you around watching where the killer is and feeding all this information. And then, later down the game's lifespan, started in all the second chances, dead hard DS, shoulder the burden, off the record, all this kind of time-wasting shit and second chances for every single negative situation, supposedly to help solo queue, whilst they're still doing that, whilst running comms and all this stuff that Swift brings with it. Whilst not addressing killers, not buffing killers up to deal with this that's being put into the game at the same time. You've got to that's literally the recipe of what is going on in this game. That's why the game's in the state it's in. That's why, as a survivor, and I keep saying as a survivor because it's always the fucking survivors that are complaining about this. Why am I only playing against Ghoul? Why am I only playing against Blight? Why am I only going against these killers? It's because you are being fucking overbuffed all the fucking time. There is not a single fucking patch in modern DBD where the survivors are at least tweaked or buffed these days. Right? So then, when you're getting all this new stuff that's coming into the game that buffs survivors, all the fucking second chances it brings, all these kinds of new perks that come along that add a new kind of fucking explosion you can put in front of the survivor's face, you can in front of the killer's face, you can jump out of fucking, you can jump over pallets and stun people, you know, all this kind of shit. You're pushing every other killer that isn't Blight, Ghoul, Dracula, everybody out of the playability circle. So you will continue to only face Blight, Ghoul, Nurse, whatever. You know, all these killers that you're facing back to back over and over again. But they're still fucking whining about how it's hard to play. It's killers are overpowered, you know, because they're only facing the top killers, you know. And then the rest of the roster, about, what is it, 20... No, even more than that. About 36 average killers are fucking useless and are never played because they're fucking just walked all over by stun perks, second chances they can't compete with, speed up mechanics that they can't fucking catch up to anymore, you know, with all the haste shit that's in the game, all this kind of stuff, you know. There is so much shit that needs to be worked on the killer side of this game, dude, that nobody speaks about because all my big streamers at the top only speak about the survivors because that's where the majority of their viewer base lie. They don't give a fuck about the game. This is what I say. It's not a personal attack on them as people. It's about what content creation is when I go on about streamers. They don't give a shit. These people at the top of content creation don't give a fuck about the game. They give a fuck about where the views from the game come from. Be it Survivor, be it Killer. If it was on the Killer side of things, they wouldn't say anything about the problems of Survivor. That's how content creation works. But in this particular instance, boys, now that we're in this state with the game, it's got to the point where they still only speak about Survivors, whilst only Survivors are receiving more and more buffs to buff solo queue up to base kit, and Killers are getting nothing. That's what happens in this game's community. That's what happens in the way behaviour balances this game. Because again, as I always say, and obviously I say it in a bit more of a spiteful tone sometimes, but I'd say it as the way I perceive it as a fact, because I don't see any evidence against this. Behaviour, do not fucking playtest this game, or even fucking touch it. Think of the Walking Dead chapter, boys. The fucking loading screen, when there was a fucking pylon, a bridge leg, on the fucking offering screen. You could see that if you played one game of your game. That was enough to tell me at the very release that when that went to live servers, mate, and I booted into the first Walking Dead game, that was enough to cement it into my mind that they do not fucking play this game. And they are literally just listening to these fucking streamers and Twitter. That's it. I've got no other reason to believe otherwise at all. In the fucking slightest. And that's the state the game's in. It's just Survivor, 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 Survivor. You know? Meanwhile, I'm booting into Survivor games to play some Survivor because I just think, oh yeah, I'll just play some Survivor. You know, I won't mind switching things up from Killer. Fucking teammates DC whenever they go down first time because we're breeding entitlement and pushing it and celebrating it in the fucking streaming circle for this game, dude. It's genuinely fucking mind-blowing, dude, how many sheep fucking play this game. It's insane. Anyway, there it is. Yeah, Swift has a massive advantage. I told you there'd be rants, boys, because I actually give a shit about this game. Killer selection, most played killer. We would like you to select 1 or 2 killers that you often play with. We will ask you a few additional questions the killer you select. If you can't evaluate this, say NA skip. Yeah, so where's Larry? Larry is obviously my main boy. In terms of everybody else, this is weird for me because I actually don't consider anybody else to be a main, really. But I kind of want to I do want to pick another one because I think it's probably Hound Master, to be honest. I think it probably is actually Hound Master. Excuse me, you said I could pick 1 or 2? Oh, select a first killer. Right, okay, so we're going to get individual questions. Right, okay. Larry then. We'll do Larry first. Select a why can I not just... Right, okay, so we do Hound Master then. So why can I not just do them both at a time? You know. We'd like to select 1 killer that you have experience playing with, but that you don't enjoy or don't play much anymore. Oh, there is a very good one for this. There is a very good candidate that I will speak about here. We will also ask you for a few additional killers for this killer you select. Yeah, select 1 killer. Now this one, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be unknown because I used to main unknown, but for some reason, and I don't actually know when this happened, this killer now feels utterly fucking useless to play as. I don't know what it was. I'm assuming it's just survivors learning how to play against him, but at the same time, I played him at release, and I played him about 7 or 8 months after release, after he'd done his, you know, everybody had seen him, and he was still performing very well. Recently, in terms of late 2025 to now, early 2026, he feels absolutely fucking dog shit to play, and I really don't understand what has happened to him. But I'll get on to why I don't like playing as him soon. I like playing Singularity, that's a strongly agree. Favourite killer in the game, both design, best fucking tier 1 terror radius in the game, which is what I'm using as the music for this video. Best fucking lurking theme in the game, mate. Bar none for me. The distorted sort of friendly tune to it and the company style jingle that he's been manufactured but he's turned evil or he's been manipulated by that alien parasite, that kind of stuff that this music gives you. The sort of, as you can hear it, you know, the sort of wispy, alien, creepy kind of vibe to it. The sort of whilst also sounding like it's something that's like on display in like a mega store, you know, and it's got a little tune playing through it, that kind of, yeah, like that sort of tune, but it's also got that wispy creepiness to it. Fucking 10 out of 10 chase theme, nearby theme. I don't like his chase theme though. His actual chase that I listen to while I'm playing as him's could be better. I have a good time playing Singularity. These are all going to be strongly agree. Yeah. I love his playstyle and I love his character. How strong is Singularity against survivors? I'm going to say balanced. I'm not saying he's overpowered. You can fuck off. No, he's not. He really is not overpowered. Yeah, I think he is balanced. He's got decent map traversal. He's got very strong chase pressure because he basically just sticks to whoever he's chasing, and he's basically a pathing IQ checker, basically. Because whenever Larry's chasing you, you need to know where your pallets are, because that's literally how you survive in chase against him. Because otherwise he's just going to TP to you and hit you and then down you and hook you. And he is also a pallet shredder, which is obviously a benefit for me, because there's a lot of pallets in this game, so you get very fast break speeds whenever you TP to somebody, as long as you don't TP while they're dropping it, because then it'll break it and you'll get stunned or slowed. In your opinion, okay, the Singularity is due for a tweak, slight changes, due for a rework, changing our power. It's nice, fine as he is. Don't fucking touch him. I'm not saying any of these either because it'll just mean nerfs. Don't fucking touch him. He's fine. That's the reason why I like playing as him. I dodged a bullet and dodged an art attack when they changed him recently to add visual effects to him and a little bit of hand holding to his kit. Fucking leave him alone. He's fine as he is. Just doesn't need changing. As a killer, please evaluate what you agree and disagree. Yep. As great perks, this is pretty funny because I actually don't know what any of his perks do, because I don't run his perks. We've got machine learning, forced hesitation, and I actually don't know what the other one is. I genuinely don't. It's not septic touch, that's dredging it. Machine learning, forced hesitation. Nah, I don't know what the other one is. I actually don't. In terms of great perks, I would say slightly disagree. Machine learning is just trash. Can't remember what the other one was. Forced hesitation is probably his best one. That's the one where you down somebody and everybody else around you gets a massive hindered penalty. I think everybody who plays Bubba just mains this perk. Because it's whenever they go down by any means as well. So if you get a chainsaw hit, everybody gets hindered around him. So you run it with iridescent flesh and you just win games in 2 minutes. If they're altruistic. Other than that, though, yeah, what the fuck is his third perk? Hang on, I'm gonna have to look this up. because I'm gonna have to evaluate it 1 minute. Genetic limits, that's it. So whenever a survivor loses a health state, they suffer from exhausted for 8 seconds. It's just a fuck you to dead hard, basically. Yeah. Don't really find space for it, to be honest. Yeah, it's just slightly disagree. They're not terrible, but they're not... It's just not really... not viable. I think forced hesitation is probably my favourite one personally. His great powers, strongly agree. His power is my favourite part. Looking through cameras and biopods is really funny. As great add-ons, this is just blanket to every killer, dude. You just find the 2 that are relevant and then run nothing else ever. So it's just neutral. The only ones I run is just diagnostic tool and plant fibers. That's literally it. Everything else doesn't really do anything, to be honest. In terms of the grand scheme of things. Creates great game dynamics. Yep, I would say that. I've played against Larry. Playing against a good Larry is quite scary. He is pretty fun to play against. So yeah, great game as great visual. Yep, that's literally more than strongly disagree. Favourite killer in the game, aesthetically wise. One of the best animated killers as well, because he doesn't suffer as much from the behaviour token sliding walk animation that literally everybody has in this game, because for some reason on this dev team we can't understand how to make a walking run animation. So everybody just kind of slides along the ground, but because he's quite tall and he's quite large when he's lumbering, you don't really see as much sliding as you do with other killers, which is appreciated. His carry animation as well is one of my favourite in the game. The way he picks survivors up. And also is when survivors wiggle off, when they actually break off his arm, the stun animation of that's pretty cool, because he does this little jump and he's looking around to the sky while his eyes are flashing. It's kind of like he's been stunned properly, like he's trying to recalibrate himself, all that kind of stuff while he's looking around, which is pretty cool. There's been quite a decent amount of thought that's been put into this character's design. Just a shame he never gets any skins, really. As an appealing background franchise, yeah, I'd say, well, I'll stick it in agree, because the only reason I'm docking it from strongly agree for that is because it's sci-fi, and I did want Dead Space to be in this game. I still want Dead Space to be in this game, and it is kind of basically a necromorph robot, in a sense. But yeah, in terms of the actual aesthetic, in terms of the background of the franchise, I'm not too invested in the map or where it's actually taking place. I like his purple corruption, as you could probably tell. That's something that's quite relevant if you've looked at the right hand side of the screen. That's not actually me copying Singularity, actually, with the avatar. That's part of the reason why I actually like this character, because I've always had this kind of avatar, and the taint kind of thing is what I call it, taint, which corrupts humans in my own stories, all that kind of stuff, turns them into demons. That was always a thing that comes from the void, which is the void is always associated with kind of purpley kind of colours, so that's where that comes from. It's a mind control, mind sanity eating parasite that affects people and turns them into its own vessels, but maintains the person they were, but twists them into an evil version of themselves. But obviously the person who's been taken over by it's gone. It's basically a mimicry. Anyway, lore drop. It kind of reminds me of that. That's kind of what he reminds me of, with the purple growths that are all over him. It just reminds me of that, so that's why I like him. But in terms of the actual Toba and where it is, I'd have preferred something a bit more gritty, to be honest. But yeah, sure. It's complex to play with. See, I'd say slightly agree. The way I see Larry, because I've seen a couple of people have said this to me whenever I do videos of him, and I'm whipping around and I'm doing really fast cameras and all that kind of stuff, and everybody's like, "How the fuck do you see what's going on?" All that kind of stuff. He's basically intimidating if you're new to him, because you need to know where to put cameras and you need to know where to look through your cameras. You need to, if you're in cramped maps, you need to understand where survivors are going to run to, and obviously line your cameras up to that. But once you actually get the muscle memory down and you actually get a feel for it, it becomes a lot easier, but he's quite intimidating for obviously a new person to get hold of. That's the way I view him, anyway. But once you actually learn how to do him, he's really fun to play and pretty fucking strong, to be honest. He's prone to exploits. No, he isn't. Yeah, I strongly disagree. I couldn't even list a single fucking exploit that this guy has, and I main him. He's just there's not really an exploit you can do with him that I know of, so I wouldn't say so. No. As a killer, please evaluate to what degree you agree or disagree with each statement about seeing it. Is this just continued? Yeah, it is. Has great ways to injure and down survivors. Yeah, so he was. He has outplay potential. Teleporting beyond pallets, all that kind of stuff, using cameras to teleport to the other side of pallets, taking people by surprise, all that kind of stuff, yeah, good. Has great mobility, yeah, because you're never going to lose him in a chase. You're literally never going to lose him in a chase. I think he's one of the killers that will, unless he abandons the chase, or you break line of sight in an indoor map, you will never actually escape a chase with him, unless he lets you go, and he goes for somebody else. Because obviously if you're podded, he's going to be glued to you all the time, which is what I said earlier, where you have to understand pallet rotating and know where pallets are and know what your tiles are to keep throwing pallets down at him. That's how you kind of... The way you play against hooks and the way you play against the good hooks is you basically... He'll chase one person and you have to hope... Well, you don't have to hope, really, but in certain instances you have to hope that he will continue to chase you while the rest of your team does gens. Because if they don't, if they're not doing gens whilst they're in a chase with a hook, he's going to get that down and he's going to get you on the hook, and then all them pallets are going to be spent for nothing. He's basically a pallet race in a sense, because once all them pallets are gone, mate, you are fucked. I'll say that as, you know, somebody who plays hooks, you're fucked. Because he will just pod you and he will glue himself to you and it's guaranteed down, and then you're on the hook and you're dead. You need pallets to play against this killer. So obviously when the first chase happens, if you've got 3 other survivors doing a generator and they're pushing the objective, that's the strongest state you can be in against Larry, because you're getting your objective done, and well, you're getting your objective done alongside the pallets being spent, basically, because again, if you run out of pallets, it's over. So reduce pallet effectiveness, no they don't, he doesn't. For the reason I've literally just explained it there. Pallets are your best weapon against him. He can shred them very quickly, but if you're doing your objective, he can be held off by somebody just running and rotating to pallets. Rinse and repeat, that kind of stuff. Yeah, but beyond that, once the pallets are gone, yeah. Reduces the effectiveness of hiding. See, we're dipping into it here, boys. The language is slowly steering towards me considering the survivors. Sorry, that's me having a drink. It does reduce the effectiveness of hiding, but it depends on what you are planning to do with this information, because that's his thing. That's his thing. If survivors are hiding behind something and he shoots a biopod behind that and then gets a pod on them, there's nothing fucking wrong with that. Nothing wrong with it at all. That's part of his fucking power. That is literally his character identity, that he's everywhere. He's got eyes everywhere. You know? It's part of his paranoia playing against him, which is what I like when I play Survivor against this killer. And it's literally his character. It's literally his power. So I'm going to put disagree for that, because he doesn't. It doesn't reduce the effectiveness of hiding. You can still hide against him anyway, because you can rotate around walls as well. If you see that he's got a biopod nearby and he starts looking for it, which you also get a big fucking kind of thing when he looks for it, you get a big pulse that he's actually looking through that pod at that point. You can move behind anything around you and he won't be able to hit you with it. You can still react to it. It's a small window, but you can still react to it. You know. So no, it doesn't reduce effectiveness of hiding. Fuck off. Give survivor enough time to react to cues. Yes, I've just mentioned that as well. Yeah, there is enough time to react. I have reacted against the Larry as survivor. This killer, there is nothing wrong with him at all in terms of this, because this is getting towards the fucking survivor shit again, dude. Of me having to consider them when I'm playing the way this is worded. You know, give survivor enough time to react and all this kind of stuff. You know. Exceeding chases and loops. Yeah, he's very good in chase, very strong in chase. Obviously, you know, use pallets to keep him at bay. That's how you survive chases with him. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with him. A lot of these are just going to be agree because it is what it is. And part of me thinks that because I'm strongly agreeing with all these great ways to do all this, they're going to fucking nerf him or take this to put into nerfs, because that's all they do. Control part of the map efficiently. Yeah, he can do. You set cameras up at gens. That's part of his identity, again, for the same reasons of reducing effectiveness of hiding. There's nothing wrong with this. That's literally what he does. So there is a cooldown as well when he pods somebody. So he can't immediately teleport. So as soon as you get podded, if you're on a generator, run the fuck away. Put something between you and that pod, and he won't be able to TP to you. He still then has to walk over to you, provided he doesn't have line of sight on you to shoot at you at the same time. Just put things between you and him, and that's how you play against him. You know. Has great ranged attacks. He doesn't have a ranged attack. He actually doesn't. No. Can be easily countered. Yep. Well, I put agree for that. But again, this is more the new player, experienced player disparity. EMPs are not hard to come by at all, mate. There are EMPs used every fucking 2 seconds in my lobbies. They are not hard to get. They are not hard to come by. And that is his counterplay, because it removes his ability to TP and he has to repod you then. And all manner of different factors can come into it then if you do depod yourself. He can very easily get a pod on you again, but you can also find something to hide behind when he puts a pod down. So there's equal parts in that stance. So yeah, his gameplay's fine. Killer evaluation comments optional. What should be done to make the Singularity a more balanced survivor against survivors? I fucking knew it. Fucking knew it. I'm not saying anything. Absolutely fucking knew it. There it is, boys. I like playing the Hound Master. Agree. Slightly less than strongly agree, because she's like my second kind of main. I just like the dog, to be honest. I like the dog aspect. Yeah. Other than that, yeah, it is what it is. That's why it's an agree. I like her. I have a good time playing Hound Master. Yeah, it's going to be agree. Same thing, basically. Playing the Hound Master is entertaining. Yeah, agree. How strong is the Hound Master against survivors? This depends. For the time being, though, I'm going to say slightly underpowered, because the fact that what annoys me with Hound Master is she's got a symptom of modern DBD design in both believability and just a game design way. I will never be able to get over the fact that a 4-foot tall woman can get a fucking £150 cane corso off somebody's fucking arm when it's feral by shooing it away with her hands. No. No. Honestly, no. It is fucking on the nose ridiculous, man. The fact that they can get the dog off the teammates when they're near it. It's ridiculous, man. And landing this dog as well isn't exactly easy either, because it's fucking toothpick. We're talking Untrasatchet, basically, without the massive hitbox. You know, you have to literally land this dog perfectly to get it on them. And then if you've got somebody running with them in a Swift as well, again, because Swifts cause problems like this, you'll never get any value out of the dog. So it is what it is at the end of the day. That's part of the reason that I don't like playing as her, because she has counterplay, but the counterplay is a little bit too egregious in certain instances, and it loses you games in frustrating ways, not healthy ways. So yeah, I would say she is slightly underpowered when they actually perform well. I'm going to do this when they're actually performing well. In your opinion, the Hound Master is slight changes. Again, I would like to see fucking the dog thing removed, honestly. But that's the only thing. Everything else, the way she uses the dog, the way she can only use it twice, you know, all that kind of stuff, the cooldowns, everything else about her, fine, whatever. I just don't think they should be able to get this fucking massive dog off their arm, dude. It's unbelievable, and it's just, no, ridiculous counterplay, to be honest. But yeah, is what it is. 10 minutes, my ass. As a killer, please evaluate what you do. Yeah, so this is it. As great perks, Jagged Compass, All Shaking Thunder, and again, I actually cannot remember the other one. It's the one, I can see the picture of it. It's like, it's like coulrophobia, but not coulrophobia, I think. Something to do with healing. I'm going to put disagree though, because I've just never used any of them, dude. I don't think any of them are that good, to be honest. As great powers, yeah, agree. Same reasons for the not strongly agree, the dog being shooed off. It's a disagree with their add-ons, because all of them don't really feel like they do anything, to be honest. yeah, I just don't really... I can't remember what I was running because I've not played her for a while, because as I say, she's me off main, but I can't remember what 2 add-ons it was that you're supposed to run as her, but yeah, our add-ons are just... I can run anything and just not feel it. Creates great game dynamics. I'd say agree. It is pretty cool to play against a dog killer and also to play as a dog killer. Has great visual design. Yeah, I do like the way she looks. I would have preferred less diva, if you know what I mean, in terms of pirate. I would have liked her to be actual herself as she is in the game now, but more not as glitzy and glamoury, you know? Like I like her boots and her actual uniform. I think it's just her headpiece that bothers me about her actual design. Like the really tall, jewelled fucking hairpiece is just... I don't like it, and the weird mask that's on sideways is a bit weird. I would prefer to just have her maybe like dreadlocks like she's got, because in her you know, the fucking visceral skin that doesn't change Mori, but as a base headpiece, you know, for a pirate kind of look. But yeah, other than that, I think she's alright, to be honest. There's an appealing background franchise. Slightly agree. Pirates. I do like pirates. I do think a pirate killer was long overdue. In terms of a lore, though, I haven't really read much about it. To be honest, I'm not too interested. I know she's got something going on with her father being murdered and all that kind of stuff, and it's just kind of on just like a literal revenge mission against everybody. And trying to find the guy who did it. That's basically where she was taken by the entity. She was hunting this guy down with the dogs who killed her father. Other than that, though, I don't really know. It's complex to play with. I wouldn't say she's complex, no. It's basically just Huntress. She's basically Huntress plus Deathslinger, I think. But you just have to, when you land the hatchet, you have to cash it in by going up to the dog and hitting it, you know, hitting the survivor. Prone to exploits? No, none that I know of. Not personally. Has great ways to injure down survivors. Yeah, again, it's not strongly agreed, because again, this goes into the fucking setting the dog free, you know, all that kind of stuff. Has great mobility, that's a disagree. She's quite slow. The search path doesn't really provide much speed in the grand scheme of things. She still has to manually walk across maps. In modern DBD state, that's kind of weak mobility, to be honest, in terms of the time frames against teams that do gens. Reduces pallet effectiveness? No, she doesn't. Pallets are very good against her. I mean, well, actually, no, it's not strongly agree. I'll put slightly agree, because you do use pallets. You use the dog to get free grabs at pallets and windows. So yeah, she kind of does, because she can weaponize your pallets against you. So yeah, reduces the effectiveness of hiding. No, the search doesn't really. It doesn't help her find you when you're hiding. If she finds you next to a gen, you're not hiding. So yeah, I strongly disagree with that one. Give survivor enough time to react to cues. Yep, there's a massive whistle she does. That's a strongly agree, actually. And also, you know, if the dog gets on them, they can fucking shoot it off, so you've got time to react there as well. Exceeding chases and loops, I'd say neutral. She's very feast or famine. If you keep missing the dog, you're going to lose. Because then she's just an M1 killer. If you're consistently landing the dog, then yeah, she does exceed, but if you're not, then you're fucked. So, control part of the map efficiently? No, she can't. The search mechanics, you can find out where the gens are being done, and you can find out what gens being done, but you might not find the survivors, which leaves them open to doing the gens again. So, no. I won't consider her to have decent map control in that sense. It's great ranged attacks. Well, the dog's technically a ranged attack in it. Yeah, I'll say slightly agree for the dog. As I say, very thin hitbox and can be brushed off, but yeah, decent. Can be easily countered. Yep, strongly agree. She's very easy to manipulate. She's similar. Well, she's not similar to Larry in the but she is in a state of where, as long as you don't run in straight lines and you put things between you, her, and the dog, she can't really get you, really. So, you know, as long as you've got objects at hand, you're probably never going to get hit by the dog, and that is a massive counterplay, to be honest, just by the map. So, yeah, I think she can be easily countered. Yeah, we're not going to answer that because I'm not considering my opponents in a PvP game. Right, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here it is. What I mentioned before about what I was going to speak about with the unknown, because this used to be my main. I like playing the unknown. So at the moment, that is going to be a disagree, begrudgingly. The reason I don't like playing this killer is because he requires massive amounts of predictions and projectile knowledge to get the bare minimum out of his power. The reason he's so bad is because you will hit survivors with the EVX, the first one, that doesn't damage, and then you basically, on your next shot, when you're chasing survivors, you have to land that, otherwise you don't get anything out of that chase, at all. Yeah, and he's also 110 at the same time, so you can't really reliably move up behind people to M1 them, you know, when you're chasing. There are some wacky things you can do with his splash zones, obviously by hitting people through walls and stuff like that, but you have to predict and also just play around, just hope that they don't move away from walls, which is something that most survivors will do against Unknown if they played against him, because he can potentially go for the shots. But yeah, in terms of his actual power and why he's not enjoyable to play for me, because I like his design. Again, he's like Singularity to me. I like his actual power and his design and all that kind of stuff is one of the best in the game to me. But in terms of actually playing as him, 2 perfect back-to-back shots or nothing. It's not feasible. Not with the current game state when I've got to siphon through so many different second chances and base kit carry mechanics that have been added into the game. It's just he's got too much requirement in his power. There you go. I have a good time playing Unknown. Neutral, because he's alright when he works. Usually that's if you're going against newer survivors. When they're actually dodging though, he's just complete dog shit. He's just not fun to play. Because you'll never actually get anybody on an hook. As long as they use their A&D keys to dodge your ability, because by the time your UVX recharges after shooting that second shot, the stare mechanic, the thing they use when they look at you to get it off, it's gone. So it's a full reset. Playing Unknown is entertaining. It is going for shots. We'll do slightly agree on that, because going for shots is very satisfying, and obviously hearing the sound effect or getting the injure from long range is pretty cool. We have done that a couple of times prior to taking a break on when I used to main him. Well, yeah, how strong is the Unknown against survivors? He is, I won't say severely, but he is underpowered. He is underpowered. Very easy to dodge. Needs 2 perfect back-to-back shots to use his power, basically, or get any value out of it. And he's also 110, just because he's ranged. I've said in the past that 110 killers shouldn't exist anymore. Not in the current game state with how fast gens are and all the other shit you have to factor in now. It's not. 110 killers are just stupid. In your opinion, the Unknown is due for a rework, because I do think he needs his power changing, or at least just a slight change of just extending the window that they need to look at you for to slightly longer. Because at the moment, as it stands, it is literally, if you miss that shot, that's it, gone. They're going to reset it, as long as they're looking at you. So I do think it needs something else to it that doesn't always guarantee that they're going to break out the power if you do miss that shot. Because when you actually do miss that shot, it's too punishing on him, because he can lose the game over it in certain instances. So yeah, it is what it is. I just think he needs his power readjusting. Please evaluate what you disagree. Yep, has great perks. Unbound, something, they've all got one at the beginning of their names. The Unbound's the only one I know of again, fellas, because you don't use anything other than the same 4 fucking perks in this game. So, as I say, I never really looked at his perks, but the ones that I do know of, no, actually, Unforeseen. Unforeseen's good. Unforeseen is actually good, so I'll put him in slightly agree because Unforeseen is pretty good. The one where you kick a gen and you get stealth. The other two though, the gen one's just dog shit, doesn't do anything. And there's another one, I don't know what it is though. But yeah, Unforeseen's probably the only one that's good. As great powers, that's a slightly disagree, just for the same things I've just mentioned. It's just underpowered. It's too much hoops to jump through for very basic achievement. As great add-ons, his add-ons are alright. I just basically run Footprint and Article, because that keeps his teleporters around fast enough. You buff them when you break pallets, and you buff them when you actually land shots on them. So, yeah. Creates great game dynamics. I'd say agree, because obviously you do have to still dodge shots, and it is good to go for shots and all that. It's just that, again, the idea of landing 2 back-to-back or receiving nothing for your time invested is just not good, and probably why he's not played, and why I don't play him anyway. As great visual design, that's a strong agree. Very good killer, very creepy, freaky, very good. Skin potential is very good. It's all former people that are just twisted into this body-snatching entity, so yeah. As an appealing background franchise, yeah, I'd say it is. It's like creepypasta stuff in it. It's like the creepypasta style killer, and he is the sort of monster footage style killer. I do think it's quite creepy in a suburban neighbourhood style setting. It's complex to play with. I won't say it's complex. He's just very punished for using his power. And obviously, you know, having to land 2 perfect back-to-back shots. He's prone to exploits. No, I don't think he is. If they're landing cross-map shots on you, that's not an exploit, that's skill. As a killer, please evaluate. Yep, that's just more of this continued. As great ways to injure and down survivors, again, I'd slightly agree, because he's slightly disagree because he's 110, which isn't good, because that's basically the same move as survivors, same movement speed as survivors these days. And his power, again, is just you have to make 2 perfect back-to-back shots, and if they press A or D, you're fucked, basically. So, it is what it is. Yeah. Has great mobility, yeah, he does. I'm going to put it in agree, just because they can remove it, but his actual TP is pretty good. It's instant, and it's very fast. It's basically the jump scare power, you use it next to people. Yeah, has very good mobility in terms of these teleporters. Reduces pallet effectiveness. You can shoot at pallets, but it's not always that great, because if you actually shoot at a pallet and it isn't the one that's going to injure, you don't really want to do that, because if you shoot them at the pallet, you will probably still have to break that pallet, and then they'll just remove it anyway, because they can remove it through the walls. It says stare at the killer to remove the effect, but they can do this shit through the fucking walls. As long as the killer is actually on the screen, it will remove the UVX from him. So yeah, I wouldn't really say he removes the effectiveness of pallets. He does when it is the one that's going to injure, because then it's guaranteed. But if it's the first one, it's weak, because you don't want to do that. You want to shoot them on the second one when they're at a pallet. Reduces the effectiveness of hiding? No, he doesn't. You can very easily hide from this killer. He doesn't have any kind of built-in tracking whatsoever. I still don't actually understand how the killer instinct on his clones works, to be honest, because it just randomly happens. Every couple of games I'll get a killer instinct that somebody's working on an clone, and then other games they just vanish without a trace, obviously with survivors getting rid of them, so I don't know. But yeah, he can't reduce the effectiveness of hiding at all. Give survivor enough time to react to cues. Yes, that's a strongly agree, because you basically, if he misses his second shot, you don't have to worry, because he's not going to be able to hit you again. You're going to be able to remove it as long as you just stare at him. Exceeding chases and loops, that's neutral. Again, this depends on the survivor. If they're looking at you and playing loops well, he's probably never going to get his UVX injure. So, yeah, that's when it's bad. But when they're actually new and not looking at you, or not optimally looking at you, he's probably going to land his UVX on you. So, control part of the map efficiently, I'd say disagree. He can't control it. He can teleport to it, but they can get rid of them. And it's not really a deterrent most of the time, because you just get rid of the teleporter. So, yeah, I wouldn't say he's got map control. He's got map traversal, but he's not got map control, you know. Has great ranged attacks. I slightly disagree, because it's fucking hit one, and then if you miss one, fucking straight back to the beginning. It gets removed, so can be easily countered. Yeah, strongly agree. Very easy to counter, mate. You just have to dodge your second shot. Dodge your second shot, you're in the green. You just there's no point, no contest. It's part of the reason why I won't play him anymore, because the window is so unforgiving to him that if they dodge if they even press fucking A or D on the keys, mate, you missed your entire power. So, and then they reset and Bob's your uncle, and it's just that rinse and repeat over and over again. So, yeah, that's why I don't like playing him anymore. Yep, again, we're not answering the Twitter question. As a killer, how many kills do you need to consider having some form of victory? For me, I consider it as 3 plus. 2's a draw to me, and 3 is the lower end of a win, but 4 is a win to me. It says some form of victory, so I'm saying 3, because you kill the majority of them. How many hooks do you need to consider having some form of victory? Ideally, hooking everyone twice, because that's unique chases. But what I'll say realistically, I'd say at least a total of 8 hooks, because that's at least everybody hooked once, and maybe 2 others at death hook, you know. So yeah, I'd say probably about at least 8 hooks. If any, what other factors might contribute to giving you some form of victory? Select all that apply. Completing at least one quest, not bothered. Gaining a lot of blood points, gaining an emblem. I'm going to put blood points because I do play blood points is part of the gameplay loops to me. Don't give a shit about pips, don't give a shit about emblems. My points compared to other survivors, again, don't give a shit about that. It's just the BP there, out of them ones. I was tempted to maybe have time to go for chases. Not be punished for uniquely chasing, which is what this game does. But they're also patching or trying to force tunneling and camping and all that shit out. But it's actually the core game mechanic. No, it's fine. It's just blood points for me. What makes a good Dead by Daylight match for you as a killer? Select all that apply. Killing all survivors, well, that's a start. Is what would make it a good Dead by Daylight match, typically, because it is my job. Having many hook survivors, yes. Using my killer power efficiently, yes. That's gameplay. Feeling that the match was well balanced. Not really, no. If it's a stomp, it's a stomp, as far as I'm concerned. That's part of the power roll, to be honest. If they don't play well against you, then they get stomped. Feeling that I came back from a potential loss. It does feel good, but a lot of the time it doesn't really mean anything to me, because I still have to go through the tedium of it being very frustrating when I'm actually losing it. So, interesting chases, yes. Playing on a map I don't see often, yes, because the reason I'm ticking this is because, my brother in Christ, I am fucking sick to the back teeth of playing on Nostromo, Badam, and fucking Toba all the time, dude. Please remove the fucking map weight system and just have it randomized. I don't want to play on Toba, Nostromo, Badam, or fucking... There's another one. I don't know which one it is. I can't remember. There is a 4th one. The name escapes me at the moment, but for the time being, Toba, Nostromo, and Badam, dude, it's every fucking bastard game these days, dude. I play on them maps. I really, really just want randomised maps back. I don't give a shit if I get the same map twice in a row every fucking 20 games, dude. I really do not care. I want map diversity back, dude. Playing against a survivor I don't see often. I mean, no, I wouldn't consider it a good... It wouldn't go into this. It's good, but it wouldn't go into a match being good. Playing against a licensed character I enjoy, same thing, really. Playing against a non-licensed character, that's the same thing. Encountering something funny, surprising. Nah, not really. Feeling scared and immersed in the horror fantasy. Yep, that's part of it. Part of the horror game. Learning a new killing, because the learning experience at the moment is very tedious in this game. And learning a new loadout, no. So basically just them things. Essentially for me. Yeah. Pretty much I'd say those things. Is what it is. Design direction. In a perspective of making the game fairer, what should the DVD team prioritise working on? Right. I'm not going to look at these yet. I'm looking just above it. I'm looking at Killerbound's survey, the words, ladies and gentlemen, as I make this prediction right here. So, and I'm just drifting down to read this again. In a perspective of making the game fairer, right? This isn't going to relate to killers from their perspective in the slightest, if I had to guess. This is going to be about how we can coddle survivors more and everything that benefits the survivors, rather than it being about what's wrong with Killer at the moment. Bear in mind what I've said at the beginning of the video, boys, and what the game direction of this actually is, which is funny because this is listed under design direction. So, providing context visibility on active status effects. I might have to do these one by one just to speak the piece about them. Yes, I am gonna tick this because I have played Survivor before, and there has been a couple of status effects that I haven't fucking known what they do or where they're from. I do think there should be a bit more on the HUD for survivors to tell them what's actually happening in terms of what effects they're under. But this should also be on the killer side of things as well. You should be able to see what things are affecting what, you know. Providing context visibility on killer powers. I don't think they need any more than what they already have, honestly. I really don't. There's already fucking there's audio cues, visual cues, there's fucking loads of shit, so no. Providing awareness of equipped killer pills. Fucking no. Absolutely not. Why is that even a thing? Providing awareness of equipped killer perks, so telling the survivors what the killer's loadout is. Is that what that is? Because it says equipped. So this isn't when it's actually active. This is just equipped. Providing awareness of equipped survivor perks. No. Nobody should know anything about anybody's fucking loadout. No. Supporting map navigation. I don't know what that is, to be honest. I don't actually know what you mean by that. Supporting map navigation. I don't think there's really too much wrong with the map somewhere, to be honest. Supporting where to find pallets, lockers, hooks, etc. No, again, this doesn't. There's nothing wrong with this, to be honest. I never have issues finding hooks, and survivors don't have issues finding pallets or lockers. Working on pallet density placement. Again, at the present point as I record this video, the pallet density is more or less fixed itself. I don't really feel like it's much of an issue at the moment, so no, I don't think there should be anything worked on with that at the moment. Working on dead zones again, no, I don't think there should be anything there. Dead zones are part of what comes with a map. Similar to how survivors have massive advantages on indoor maps. If there's maps like Shelter Woods, for example, that doesn't have very many pallets on it, that's a killer advantage. There should be equal sides of advantages in different situations for both teams. Working on counters against the opposing role. Again, this is only going to respond to killers. It's the only way I see it, because again, they're not talking about perks. It's like, what what counters would you put in for killers against survivors? You know, what would it be in terms of, because this is obviously speaking about base kit as well. You know, this could only relate to killers. So now I'm not fucking taking it. Enabling ways to determine the skill of my opponents. That's just by playing with them. You go into a lobby and find who the best looper is, and then don't chase them until the end. That's how it works. You don't need to enable that. Making efforts to prevent unfun, exploitable. Making efforts to prevent unfun, exploitable behaviours depends again. Because again, this is the killer balance survey, so I'm assuming this is talking about survivors. But why would you pick half of this if you were thinking it from the killer perspective? Because this is all stuff that helps survivors. Again, making the game fairer. You know, this always relates to survivors. This always in this game's dev team. So yeah, making efforts to prevent unfun. We'll tick it, but because there are a couple of things that fucking annoy me with this game. There's this big fucking thing. I mean, it's not really something you can fix or prevent. It's very cringeworthy to me whenever it happens, because it's celebrated as like a tech in this game, and this is obviously my former experience as a actual global top 10 Evolve player. You know, I'm not exactly dumb in terms of playing these games, but FOV tech is one of the most fucking washed and easiest things to do in video gaming history, but it's celebrated as skill in this game. If you don't know what FOV tech is, just if you're from IDV, because obviously you don't see it in IDV because you're in third person with killers. Basically all it is it's survivors hugging your character model as killer, so that they're off your screen, so you can't see where they are. So when they run towards you, they basically hug your model, and it makes it so that when you swing, it won't hit them, because they hug your model and they spin around the back of you and then laugh at you in a Twitch stream. Basically that's all it is, when all you're doing is just fucking hiding off screen from somebody. And again, there's also the CJ tech, which is also another one that's fucking just dumb shit, which is if a survivor goes down in front of a pallet, they can jump over the pallet as you go to break the pallet, so it makes you pick the survivor up, and then they revolt and shine the flashlight in your face and it blinds you with no counterplay. Again, that's not really skill or tech, it's literally just gameplay abuse. It is literally an exploit in the grand scheme of things, because you're just locking somebody out of using the controls for your benefit, essentially. But yeah, I doubt that's going to pertain to that though. Obviously this is about killers, isn't it? Reworking unfair maps. Again, I don't really consider any maps to be unfair, to be honest. The only map I can think of is the game, with just fucking pallets everywhere, and most of them are god pallets. But other than that, for the sake of one map, I don't think so. Permanently available ranked to unranked mode. Yeah, I want that in the game, because I want all these fucking esports monkeys out my fucking lobbies. Quite honestly, all the fucking sweats that just run second chances and nothing else. Want to be carried through video games and pass it off as skill, basically, and also get all the fucking streamers in the ranked queue away from me, preferably, so I can play every killer I want to play in against casuals as a casual, and yeah, not have to face all this fucking toxic bullshit in every game. So yeah, I would like that. Time limited tournament ranked mode. I don't really give a shit about tournaments, honestly. Really don't care. The only reason I want ranked in is to just get all the fucking apes in there and just leave them to themselves, and let me play killers I actually want to play, rather than, you know, being locked into playing the strong ones or just losing because it's a case of second chances and time based. But yeah, there it is. Optional. Do you have any other comments regarding killer balance? No. That's going to be that, I think. Yeah. There it is, boys. 60 million players, look at that, 9 out of 10. They've not been paid actors, have they? But yeah, it is what it is, boys. That's going to be the thoughts and the feelings on the games for those interested. It's been a bit of a podcasty video. But yeah, that'll be that. Just thought I'd do it because it said the killer balance survey, and we never normally talk about killers in this game, and we still managed through some of it to actually turn it into how are the survivors suffering on this day of the week. But yeah, it is what it is. I'll see you on the next one, fellas.